Traveling to the Caribbean? Be sure to be familiar with these languages. Welcome to LanguagesUnlimited.com. A world of languages, unlimited understanding. Please share this video and be sure to subscribe to our channel in YouTube. We welcome your likes on Facebook, comments, and suggestions. The Caribbean is a group of fantastic islands and countries that wanderlusts and travel enthusiasts consider as a paradise. It's a top tourist destination and a historical region touched by the largest events in the world's history, sprinkled with lots of colors, breathtaking places, and, yes, languages. English is a widely spoken language in the Caribbean. Among the countries that speak English are the Bahamas, the Virgin Islands, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Cayman Islands, Anguilla and Jamaica. But that doesn't mean you'll settle for English, right? It just won't feel like you truly visited the Caribbean if you didn't learn a new language or two. Thanks to its diverse culture and history, the Caribbean also boasts 6 official languages. These are Spanish, French, English, Dutch, Haitian and Papiamento. So, if you're going to travel to the Caribbean, you must be familiar with those languages. But that doesn't end there, because there are variations you should be familiar with if you want to really enjoy your Caribbean trip. First, let's talk about why there are so many major languages in the Caribbean. Where did they come from? Languages in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is made up of islands and countries that have a diverse history and culture. In general, the languages and Creole languages were a result of years of colonization by European countries like France, Spain, and Portugal. The interaction and communication between Caribbean people and colonizers gave rise to the evolution of language, or phenomena like language expansion, language shift, and even language death. The diverse languages in the Caribbean are part of the beautiful culture of the countries and islands. And if you dream of having a unique adventure in the Caribbean, learning these languages, or being familiar with them, will be a great help. Patois, local Creole. First of all, you should understand what Patois, or local Creole languages are. Patois, or local Creole, is a combination of an African dialect plus the language of the country that colonized the island. For instance, the Patois in Puerto Rico is a combination of local language, Spanish their colonizador. The patois can also refer to other dialects and vernaculars. It doesn't include jargons and slang, but it's often the equivalent of broken English. The term patois is used by people in the Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, Trinidad, and Venezuela. Meanwhile, it's called patois in the Para Peninsula of Venezuela. Creole French. French is one of the 6 official languages of the Caribbean. It's got a variant that we call Creole French. As we've mentioned, Creole means the language is the result of the combination of 2 languages, with one language usually of European origin. Therefore, Creole French is the version of French by the people of the Caribbean. Some schools teach traditional French to the islanders. However, each island has already created its own Creole version of the language. Studying Creole French will help your Caribbean journey because around 25% of the people in the Caribbean speak French. That's 1/4 of the whole population. Also, even if you already understand French, you might find it difficult to understand Creole French right away. Caribbean countries that speak French include Guadeloupe, Martinique, Haiti, Saint Barthélemy, Saint Martin and French Guiana. Creole Spanish. Similar to French, traditional Spanish is also used in the Caribbean. But it also has its Creole version. Creole Spanish speakers outnumber English speakers, with a whopping 64% of the West Indies speaking Caribbean Spanish. That's certainly a large proportion of the population, so if you're planning a Caribbean adventure, you better start to learn Spanish online. And more than that, it's also probably wise to familiarize with Creole Spanish, as traditional Spanish-English translation would still be confusing. The countries that speak Spanish Creole Spanish in the Caribbean include Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Panama, Venezuela and the Caribbean coast of Colombia. Creole Dutch. Dutch is a lot less dominant in the Caribbean, but some countries still speak it as their official and business language. Generally, if the island has been a part of the Dutch sovereignty, that island will have Dutch as its official language, or at least part of their official languages. Among the islands that speak Creole Dutch are Saint Martin, Aruba, Curaçao, Bonaire, Saba, Suriname and Saint Eustatius. The Netherlands settled in these countries, and some of them still keep close ties to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Creole Portuguese. Portugal also had its time exploring and colonizing the West Indies. Along with Spain, Britain, and France, Portugal shared its language to the colonized. So, it's not surprising to see Creole Portuguese here. The Creole Portuguese language is now typically the language of communities whose ancestors are Portuguese people, natives, and other people that were under the Portuguese colonial empire. If you're planning to visit the following countries, it might be a good idea to learn Creole Portuguese. Upper Guinea, Gulf of Guinea, Guyana and Suriname. Haitian Creole. Haitian Creole is a French-based language that's spoken by 10 to 12 million people around the world. For French natives, the Haitian Creole language might sound like broken French. However, the language pretty much stands on its own. It has its own pronunciation, grammar, pragmatics, and vocabulary. Haitian Creole English translation can be quite complex, since the language has 3 other dialects. Southern dialect. This is spoken in the area of Cay, which is an important city in the south of Haiti. Although French is still preferred for teaching in schools, Haitian Creole is now used more in public schools. What cemented the Haitian Creole status was the Constitution of 1987, which made Haitian Creole a national language. The Constitution then made French as the language of instruction, while Haitian Creole was the tool of education. Papiamento. Papiamento is an even more interesting language in that it's a mixture of Spanish, Dutch, Portuguese, and French. It also contains some elements of African and Arawakan languages, plus some traces of Venezuelan Spanish and American English languages. It's spoken by 330,000 people in the Caribbean, and has been in use since the 1930s. Native speakers also often switch and borrow words from traditional Spanish, Dutch, and English. If you're traveling to the Caribbean, it's a wise decision to learn Papiamento since you'll most likely have to learn the other languages we've tackled here. Papiamento, then, would be what you call a gateway language. More importantly, Papiamento is used in practical, daily communications on the Caribbean islands. It's definitely a must-learn. Countries that speak Papiamento include Curaçao, Bonaire, Aruba, Saint Martin, Saint Eustatius and Saba. Other languages spoken in the Caribbean. Apart from the major languages above, the Caribbean people also speak the following languages: Hindi. Hindi is dominant in Caribbean areas with a high number of people originating from India. And since language is flexible, people have also developed a version of Hindi mixed with the local language. Caribbean countries that have Hindi speakers include Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. Chinese. Asian languages also have some footing in the Caribbean. Chinese immigrants, for example, are present in almost any island in the Caribbean. They adopted the local patois, but they've also retained their mother tongue. Tamil. Tamil came from India to the Caribbean during the time of indentured slavery. Although it's among the least used languages in the Caribbean, many speakers try hard to keep it from disappearing. Quick tips for learning these languages. As you can see, the Caribbean gives the world's major languages a twist. English is dominant in Caribbean countries, but even if you're a native speaker, you'll still find some interesting differences. So, before you start and learn one or a couple of those languages we tackled, here are some useful tips for you to learn languages better. Practice conversations. And we mean hours and days of practice. You need to practice talking the language if you want to master it or achieve some level of fluency. Start with the most common words. Because the Caribbean languages are flexible and confusing by nature, it's not practical to go all in and learn the intricacies of grammar in the beginning. It's far better to start learning the most common words and phrases they use in your destination, and then get more conversational. And from there, start learning the basics of pronunciation, spelling, and grammar. Read the dictionary. Even though Google Translate is very popular now, a dictionary never ceases to be useful. There are more advanced dictionary apps nowadays that are tailored to the specific translation needs of the user. They provide faster, more accurate translations of words, phrases, and sentences. Don't be afraid to sound awkward. One of the biggest reasons behind the slow learning process when it comes to language learning is the learner's shyness or fear of embarrassment. You're going to feel and sound awkward, but that's part of the process. Keep at it. Make it enjoyable. Make it fun and exciting. Challenge yourself and become obsessed with mastering the language that you start thinking in that language. Have fun with it. This is the single best way to learn a language successfully. Ready for your Caribbean trip? The Caribbean is a diverse multicultural extravaganza for anyone who likes to travel and visit new places. It's a beautiful region with beautiful places, people, and culture. And getting familiar with the languages in it is one of the most effective ways to truly enjoy what it has got to offer. Learn these languages, and you'll love the Caribbean even more. Please remember to subscribe to our channel in YouTube for further video releases. Remember to share and like it on Facebook. Let us know what you think of it, and thank you for watching.